Oh, here we go. There we go. Yeah, so I'm Rizwan Khan. I'm the Director of Customer Relations at Uizard Technologies, and I'm here to talk to you about the democratization of design. Full disclosure, I wish my speech was yesterday after last night's festivities. I'm not feeling great, but I'm going to go through this anyway. Yeah, I hope I do a good job. This is actually my first time here in the Baltics, and I have to say it's been a great experience so far. So thank you to everyone who's made me feel really welcome here. So before I jump in here, I'm just going to do a quick survey with everyone that's sitting here. Are any of you either developers or designers? Just raise your hand. Okay, great. And then for the rest of you, have you ever had a startup idea, but you're not a designer or a developer? So you've come up with ideas, but you don't have the skills. Okay, great. Well, I empathize with you a lot. I'm in the same situation. Like, come up with ideas, but I don't have the skills to go ahead and start ideating and creating on them and getting them wrapped up, right? And actually, back in 2013, both me and my best friend Jonas here, we were both in that same situation. So we came up with an idea. We worked for this American company. We did sales. And essentially, when you work for an American company, sometimes they book your meetings like in the evening. They don't care about your time zone. And typically, I don't know if it's like an American culture kind of thing. A lot of the time, people are talking for the sake of talking, right? You're sitting there, everyone's waiting to say their piece, and then by the time you think it's finished, the last person who hasn't said anything jumps in and they say something. It's 8 p.m. And we're knackered and we just want to get through it. And the way we'd kill time was we used to play this game called 8-Ball Pool, created by Miniclip. And we were absolutely hooked on this game. And sometimes we played this game during this conference call, just to keep ourselves engaged. And we'd spend money on this game as well. And we looked into it. And this game, which was like a 2D game, multiplayer, you could play against your friends, you could play people online, was generating 100K a day from the US market alone. So me and Jonas, being like very commercially minded people, we were like, we got to do something with this. We understood how the mechanics worked for the commercial engine of the game, and we felt we could take that and then put our own game into that model and get things up, and hopefully we'll start making 100K a day from a game, right? And basically the game we came up with was King of Karom. Now, Karom is an Indian board game, and our whole thing was, okay, let's take popular Asian games and put it within that same commercial model. And we got a game up and running. I mean, look at it. It looks good, right? However, it was an absolute disaster. And the reason for that was because of communication. So there's a lot of reasons about why it didn't work, but when we really look back at it, the fact that we didn't have those skills really didn't help us. And when we go back to the ideation stage, the early stage, we have hundreds of emails going back and forth, trying to align on vision, trying to get an understanding. And if you don't get it right at the beginning and you just keep going down that road, sometimes it can be too late before you find out like all the problems that are created. And that's pretty much what happened to us. And the problem is that this is just a genuine issue. Like right now, if you don't have those skills, you're typically working with a designer and you're trying to get them to understand your idea that you have in your head. And this is kind of crazy because this is like almost like an advanced version of charades. You're talking to a designer, they're trying to understand what you're talking about, you're trying to produce something, and it's no picnic for the designer either. The poor designer's like having to come back and forth, trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to say, and it's just completely inefficient. And the issue with this is like we all know that visuals are important. Visuals are so important when you're expressing, your ideas. Like 80% of what people see, they remember compared to what they read or what they hear, and visuals are processed 60,000 times faster. The average person apparently only has 8 seconds before they get distracted. I know for me personally, that's like probably 4 seconds. And 10% is all people remember when they're just hearing information without visuals. So visuals are really, really important, and yet we're in this situation where if any of us have an idea, if we either have to learn those skills, which takes a considerable amount of time, or we have to go to someone and we have to play that game of charades to get them to understand and visualize what's in our mind, right? And so what's the solution? Well, the solution is that I should be able to mock something up and create something and then pass it over to a designer, and we can have a more efficient conversation and relationship. There's less iterations. They're less stressed because they understand what our idea is about, and they can actually use their key skills, whether it's a user interface designer who can just focus on making it look good, or user experience designer to make sure it makes sense from a user perspective. The conversation is going to be a lot more efficient, and for you, if you are going to a designer as well, it's going to be cheaper because it's going to take less time in the ideation stage. But the problem is like, how do you create these visuals, right? I mean, you can go away and you can spend several weeks to kind of learn how to use the design tool. It's probably going to take you maybe a year or so to actually master that design tool. But there are some companies out there that are focused on just this. The first one, which some of you may know, is Canva. Canva actually has done this so well. They're now the second highest valued private company in the world behind Stripe. Fantastic product. If you want to create a presentation, or you want to create something for socials, whatever it is, they've got the templates. You just go in, you make your edits, you personalize it, and you publish it. And they do a great job. I don't need to learn like how to make something look good. They've done it for me. I just need to put in the relevant content. Now, the next part, I'm afraid, is going to be a bit of a plug for my company, Uizard Technologies. And part of that is because there's not too many companies right now in this space that are democratizing design. And this is going to change. Like, you're even seeing this with coding, with the no-code movement. This is what you would probably call the no-design movement, right? And this is where we come in for product design. So one of the ways we help is, firstly, we have a load of templates. And templates are important because I might have an idea, but I might not truly appreciate everything that's supposed to go in that idea. So templates kind of act as almost like research on my part, telling me some of the things I have to consider, and also giving me inspiration to further develop my idea. And the other thing is that I should be able to just go into a tool and just start using it and making it straight away. So we've got like a user interface, which is almost like creating a presentation. Most people learn how to do that when they're in high school. And instead of having to spend all this time learning how to use a tool just so you can visualize your idea, you can just go in, the components are already made, you can drag and drop them onto the screen, and you're ready to go. Next slide. Now, at the core of our solution is artificial intelligence. And AI is crucial with democratizing of so many different services. A lot of people are afraid of AI because they see it as job replacement. But really what we're doing is we're just taking simple tasks that I would find difficult and just enabling them to be done through AI. And this kind of gives us an advantage to enable people to have skills such as grabbing a sketch and turning it into a digital equivalent. Maybe you're uncomfortable creating something online and you're better just sketching something out. Well, with our AI technology, you can just draw it out, you can take a picture, upload it to our services, and we'll convert it to a high fidelity version. The next part as well is that you can actually grab like an existing design and apply it to your project as well. So like myself, I'm terrible with colors, like what goes together, what looks good. The things that I look good, that I think look good, generally most people will look at it and they'll be like, "That you're wrong." We have a designer at Uizard. I always get a lot of critical feedback from him on things that I've created before in the past. So being able to just take inspiration that already exists out there and just apply it to my project so it looks good is really important. And if you think about it from an enterprise perspective, if you're working at a big company, 9 times out of 10, that design already exists. So being able to take something that already exists and apply it to your project helps visualize and explain that idea better. I had a conversation recently with Condé Nast. They do things, they own Vogue, they own GQ, and we were talking to someone who actually sits at the board level there and has meetings with Anna Wintour. And even in that scenario, the first thing that she'll pick up, even in the ideation stage, is if it looks right or wrong. So colors and branding are just really important in bringing your idea to life. And actually, if we think about things when it comes to the democratization of design, it's not just like an individual problem. This is also happening at big companies. And one of the categories that will fit under is a topic called future of work, right? Right now, you have this like bottleneck of people that they need these skills. There's not enough designers in these large organizations. And to be honest, that designer's time could be better used in terms of actually utilizing their skills rather than trying to figure out, what's in your brain. And so what you'll see, and not just with design, but with a lot of different services, is that AI is going to play a part in democratizing it so you can work more efficiently, your designers can work more efficiently, and there's no time delay. It's going to become cheaper. Especially if you think about ideation stage, sometimes the idea is not going to get off the ground. If you think about it, if we go back a couple of slides here, if you think about it, you come up with an idea, you go to a designer, it could be a 2-week turnaround time. After that, you test it. By the time you figure out that this idea isn't viable, a lot of time and money has been spent on that. And really, that should be a lot quicker. And this is where democratization of these skills is really going to have like a big impact in terms of reducing that, reducing the cost of just exploring ideas. And we'll come back. And that's it. Happy to take any questions you may have. I don't think we can do it in this format. I understand there's no microphone to go around, but you can catch me off stage. Also, my wonderful colleague, Javile, which many of you probably have already spoken to, she's about as well. If you have any questions you'd like to discuss this further, please grab us, and thank you for your time.